And so the kind of the way you consume the site is very linear. But again, the first thing that you're seeing above the fold, the emphasis is on contribution, and we have a very the percentage of which our users, kind of like the contributor to leech or the lurker ratio is I don't have a real number for it, but I imagine many more people contribute to 4chan because of that emphasis and because of the lack of barriers, the lack of registration. And this just compares kind of how long it would take you to contribute to 4chan versus how long it would take you to. That's just the V Bulletin, their official company, like the test BBS that they've set up for people to use, and you actually have to register to use it, and it's just trying to point out the difference in the time to access the site. And so B is responsible for pretty much anything that comes out of 4chan that makes it into the public that people become familiar with has come from the random board. It's the most notorious board. It has essentially no rules. You can't post anything illegal, technically. And it pretty much produces all of the culture that is exported from the site. It alone receives 400,000 posts per day over that, which is way more than half of the total number of posts. So it's really all skewed towards the random. And pretty much everybody posts anonymously. And two of the memes that it's produced, how many people here are familiar with lolcats? Okay, pretty good. Lolcats started as a theme day on 4chan where users would post on Saturdays pictures of cats. That was the joke, kind of. It was Saturday was Catterday, and all people would do was spam threads of cats. And at some point, they started macroing their images, and by macroing I mean adding this text, this pretty standard impact bold font, and making kind of catchphrases on top of the images, layering that over the image, and making these image macros. At some point, they caught the eye of this couple in Hawaii, and they started this blog, and now we have I Can Ask Cheeseburger, and I think most people here have probably heard of that. I Can Ask Cheeseburger is the site that most people associate with the whole lolcats craze. And lolcats is a multi-million-dollar meme now. Lolcats is one of the most recent examples, I think, of the commercialization of a meme. I mean, the lolcats website was purchased for, I believe it was $2 million, and they have a book. And it's an empire now. They have a whole network of sites that are essentially 4chan memes on blogs, which they monetize through ads and merchandise and whatnot. And the second example is Rickroll. And how many people here are familiar with that? Okay, I'm sorry. And if you don't know what Rickroll is, the joke is you tell somebody you're going to link them to one thing, and you link them to a video of Rick Astley playing Never Gonna Give You Up. That's the joke. Haha. It started out on 4chan as a different meme called Duck Roll, which is just linking somebody to a video of a picture of a duck with wheels, also hilarious. So it mutated into this, and it got huge in the US at least. The lower left there is House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. On her YouTube page, she put this video up with a Rickroll at the end, and so the House Speaker, I think, is like third in line in like the succession to the presidency in the United States, which is kind of terrifying when you have like one of the highest ranking politicians putting this garbage on their YouTube page. The Mets, the baseball team in New York, did a contest for what song they should play at the last. They built a new stadium at the last game, and Rick Astley won, and they played it. And there's a great video online of this where pretty much everybody in the stands is booing because they were not amused by this stunt. And at the Macy's Day Thanksgiving Parade, an annual parade in New York City, Rick Astley had like a comeback. He popped out on a float and performed Never Gonna Give You Up. So this silly joke with a bunch of nerds is really now, I'm sure hundreds of millions of people have been exposed to this. And it started as just a bait and switch. And so 4chan has this reputation of being a meme factory. And So why is that? Well, I've described why the site's unique. And so at the time that the site was started, it was new and refreshing as compared to kind of the vBulletin. What we were used to with forums were very different from this image board format. I don't know of any other examples of a straight up image board in kind of what, like, outside of Japan as far back as 2003. It's a large dynamic user base. So again, we have 6.3 something around that million people using the site, very large. And when I say dynamic, I mean that the site kind of, it'll fall into favor and out of favor. People come and go very rapidly. Somebody will kind of use the site and leave within a few years. They'll leave within a few months. And so just having a lot of kind of fresh people coming in and old people coming out keeps it really lively. One of the problems I think a lot of other forums have, where, to use something awful as an example again, they've basically had the same people using the site for the past 8 years. And when you've got the same people on the site who kind of control the discussion, you've really got kind of the same stuff. There's no, it's like there's no vigor there anymore. There aren't any new ideas being brought into the community or expressed, because you've just got the same people talking to one another, and they've been doing so for almost a decade. The emphasis in anonymity is a large factor in it, because again, it allows you to express things that normally you wouldn't if you had an identity. The lack of retention is also important, because on a site where you can just bump up old content, the way kind of threads work on 4chan is that if you post something and it's crap, it's washed away. The site has no memory, and it's just washed away by all of these new posts. And if it's a genuinely good idea or something that people identify with, then either somebody will save it and repost it, and that's how we get memes, and we'll get into that in just a second. And if I were to describe the users again, they're very young. It's like the nerdy demographic, and I describe them as savvy. Kind of the metric I use for determining savviness is when you look at the breakdown of what browsers people are using, it's something like 95% are using alternative browsers. So everybody's using Firefox, and I think that nowadays a lot of people are using Firefox. Like, I think my mom is using Firefox, so it's not the best kind of metric for it. But again, it's this younger demographic. It's kids, so they're savvy, and they're using not only 4chan but just tons of communities, tons of forums, and in addition to the kind of the standard, the Facebook, the MySpace, and whatnot as well. And they're highly engaged. People spend almost 19 minutes on 4chan, which is a lot. It's huge, and 15 pages per visit is also actually very high. We've kind of got like our when you break down who is doing the traffic on the site, if you were to make like a pie graph, it's 75% addicts. It's people who we don't really have casual users because of the way kind of people consume the site and just the way people feel about the site. So you've got these people who just sit there all day on 4chan and have these, and this is per session too, not per day. So they're spending almost 20 minutes per session in a day sitting there on 4chan, which is a lot. Because if I use a website personally, like if I'm, say, checking CNN for the news, I mean, I'm on CNN for 2 minutes. So 20 minutes is a lot. So the genesis of 4chan meme is pretty straightforward. Post something remotely funny. Repost ad nauseum. Because again, if you don't repost it, and this is known as meme forcing on 4chan, if you don't repost it, nobody will see it. So it has to either be remotely funny, where people aren't going to repost it, so you have to do it yourself, or genuinely funny. And pretty much get lucky. It is essentially, it's a lottery. And again, if you post something genuinely funny, you kind of get to skip the whole repost thing and go straight to 3. And you still have to get lucky. There is a timing and a luck factor to producing a meme. And how memes spread on 4chan, at least, they usually start as board specific to B, or even every board kind of has its own subculture and in-jokes. Like the anime board has their own memes, the random board has their own memes, the video games board has their own memes and whatnot. And so the kind of how they pollinate on 4chan is they'll spread over to other sections that so the anime and the video games boards have a lot of overlap, and so you'll see memes kind of cross over from one to the other very easily.